Service-oriented architecture governance roles and responsibilities. In this, there are function of governance principle and SOA governance maturity. Each organization has their own role naming convention, and it is more important to adopt the new governance responsibilities with the existing internal structure. The roles and structure are exemplary and provided as a starting point for customization for an SOA governance regimen for an SOA solution. A subset of these roles and structure could be selected. Different organizations might decide for simplicity to have combined organizational structure to support the roles displayed in the table. There are different structure, key roles and responsibilities. Business IT student group, the key role of them is CIO, CTO or Chief IT Strategist, Chief Architect, Business Domain Owners, and their responsibilities are the ultimate decision makers for decision regarding SOA solutions, service and business and IT related matters. They approve SOA strategic direction. They approve governance principles. SOA steering board. The key roles are SOA chief architect, program director, business sponsor. The responsibilities of them is they define future SOA strategic direction and roadmap, monitor SOA strategic direction, ensure SOA principles and practices will make an appropriate and necessary contribution to the overall enterprise business strategy. They support desired outcomes and objectives by providing funding and resources for the SOA. And they define SOA governance principle. As you see in the responsibility that the people who are sitting at the top in admin, they have big responsibility of the organization, that how the organization should run. EA governance board, there are chief enterprise architect, chief SOA architect. They define, develop the service portfolio, define and develop the SOA solution portfolio. SOA center of excellence, the key roles are business champion, chief SOA solution architect, organizational change consultant, trust strategist, and they are responsible for SDLC, project management process, operational process management. They represent the business organization in COE, collaborate to develop SOA governance, roadmap, transition plan, governance principle, development of SOA governing process, development of governed SOA process, initiate SOA and SOA governance organizational change. They govern SOA transformation plans. They identify SOA training and mentoring plans. Business domain representatives. The key roles are program manager, business architect, process engineer, business subject matter expert. They are responsible for the solution from a business perspective by justifying the solution and services existence and continuous operation to the stakeholder. They develop service proposal to go through the funding process. They work on prioritizing program requirement and services. SOA governance board, the key roles are SOA's chief architect, business architect. They ensure the compliance with the standards and guidelines, dispensation and communication that we discussed earlier. Solution development team had key roles: project manager, business analyst, solution architects, integration specialist, operation architect, developers, testers, security architect. They manage the solution within a specific domain: design, development, testing, deployment, execution, delivery of SOA solution within the domain. Service development team, they have project manager, business analyst, service architects, integration specialist, operation architect, developers, testers, security architects. Their responsibilities are design, development, testing, deployment, execution, and delivery of the services, maintain interfaces to its services, follow standards and guidelines they understand, and abide by the governing process. IT operation, the key roles are database administrator, network infrastructure architect, system administrator, operations. The responsibilities are database administrator service support, network infrastructure service support, system administration support, support for central IT functions. SOA governance technology, the purpose of this section is to identify technology capabilities that can be used to perform SOA governing process. It is a technology to be used to enable governance and the partial automation of the governing process. A framework for technology capability can range in ability from manual process to sophisticated software. Process and access capability is a framework that should be available for storing and accessing governance artifacts. Policy enforcement capability. An SOA governance policy framework helps to support and possibility of automation, the monitoring for violation of governance policy. Monitoring capability. And SOA monitoring framework can be used to measure and gather metrics on the SOA service and policy enforcement and the appropriateness of the current governance regimen. Management capability. SOA management tools such as change control or configuration management can be used to implement and maintain governance. Workflow capability. It captures compliance and dispensation processes, workflow documents, and enabling automation of the process. SOA governed technology is the technology that is used by the governed SOA process. SOA reference architecture defines what technology should be used to develop, deploy, and operate an SOA solution. SOA governed technology also needs governance, but the governance of these technologies are part of service and solution portfolio and lifecycle management process, not detailed in the document, but just like the governance of SOA process and SOA communication. So that's it for the day. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.